Hey, fuckers.
That's all I got to say about that. Hello, Rick.
How's it going?
Hi, Jamie. Hello, people. Hello, birds.
Where are we at with your pool? You close to having it open?
Oh, it's open.
Or
It's
ready
just,
to?
Yeah, I'm having trouble getting chlorine. I have something called chlorine lock. You ever deal with that one?
No.
You will. It's a matter of time, just throwing all the right chemicals in till you beat it. But yeah, I've been open for a week. Got a couple cleaning bots that work great. They climb the walls and go up to your water line, go back down. Pretty damn cool. So far, it's working. And they were expensive. So better fucking work.
What's your water temperature right now?
I don't know, probably 70. I haven't been able to get in it because of all the rain. It's been too cool.
Yeah.
I've got a heater on it. So when I see 80s and 60s at night, that's when the heater comes on.
Okay.
And it just stays on all summer. Because my wife won't get in it unless it's 85 or 90.
Yeah.
And then even then, I got to push her in.
So something interesting not happened to me, but I became aware of this week.
Yeah.
So Tracy and I, we go to Key West a lot.
Nah.
Yeah. So of course, we made friends down there that hang out and work on the beach because that's where we spend all of our time. Well, one of these guys, his name is Ty, and we were introduced to him by mutual friends, and he would sit and hang out with us, and he made Tracy and I jewelry, always gets us coconut drinks and brings it over. He sells them to the tourists. He's a homeless guy.
Oh, yeah?
Basically lives on the beach. Very unassuming, very laid back. He's always laughing, comical guy. Love talking to him. He knows a lot about music and Led Zeppelin in particular. So I got a message this week that said, "Hey, did you hear about Ty?" from a mutual friend in Key West. I said, "No," and they said the cops picked him up today. He's been on the run for 8 years for murdering a lady in Alabama.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Jeez.
His name wasn't even Ty, it was Ralph.
I'd go with Ty.
Ralph Pollock.
That's no wonder he killed people.
Oh, fuck.
Whoa, that's incredible.
Yeah.
You had no clue.
None whatsoever. When I would ask him, Ty, I asked him where he was from. He said Floribama. And I never heard that term, so it's the Florida-Alabama line,
Right.
that area.
Pennsylvania, you hear that one.
Yeah. He says, if I ever go home, I can never come back. And it was definitely mystic, but he wouldn't elaborate on
Right.
that. But now it all makes sense.
Wow.
That's crazy.
So who'd he kill?
It was a 38-year-old woman. And the only thing we know now, the sheriff in Alabama, the only thing he has said was there was drugs involved, that this guy Ty was involved in drugs. And his charges now are something with a deceased body. Like, there's a word with the law, but it's basically he picked the body up and dumped it in a ravine. So they want him back for questioning, and then that's when they'll get him with the murder charges. Yeah.
That's odd.
When you think
That
you know
freaks you out,
somebody.
doesn't it?
Yeah, I think of the times now that he and Tracy were off talking with each other. I think, man, I wonder if it crossed his
Well,
mind.
what'd she do though? She had to do something to piss him off.
I'd think.
I don't think it was a random murder, and then he's hanging out with people on a beach.
See, the thing is, he didn't shy away from the camera, and somebody actually did a YouTube video last year of him and what he does on the beach. And he didn't shy away from that, unless he didn't understand how YouTube works. But we still don't know how he got caught. If somebody recognized him,
Right.
if it was a chance encounter with local PD, because the two officers walked up to him on the beach, talked to him for 30 minutes, and led him away in handcuffs. And my friend said, "Ty, you going to be okay?" And Ty was crying and said, "I don't know."
What was the show? It used to be America's Most Wanted.
He was on there.
Is that right?
Yes, he was on America's Most
Who was
Wanted.
that guy? Something Walsh.
Adam Walsh.
Adam Walsh.
Or no, his son
Something
was
Walsh.
Adam.
Right.
John Walsh
John
was the
Walsh.
father.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just
That's
gives
nuts.
you creepy feelings when you know somebody and you think of the time you spent with that person and the whole time they were on the run.
Wow, I never knew a murderer. I knew a bunch of assholes, but I never knew a murderer.
Well, it's weird.
Wow.
Let's go to some emails.
All right. That's what we've been threatening to do this. So let's fucking do it.
We tried it last week and I think we only got 3.
Yeah.
So let's try to get through some. This is from Tyson Clark. Tyson asks, Steve, what Kick song was the hardest song when recording to lay vocals on and why?
Tear Down the Walls. Tear Down the Walls that had this one part. Ooh, whoa, whoa. That was a motherfucker. I had to go in and do that many times before I really nailed it. Yeah, Tear Down the Walls. All that shit, Cold Shower, all that, because it was written so high.
Yeah.
And when I'm in my 20s and 30s, it was nothing.
Yeah.
Felt, yeah, challenge me, motherfucker, I dare you. And he did. Donnie knew my range and he knew how to use it, you know, and get the most out of it. Then into the mid 40s and 50s is when I noticed it. This is really hard.
Yeah.
But I was able to do it until my 60s, and then I had to start changing tuning and, you know, singing different ways. That's what we all have to do.
So I didn't realize how layered and how involved Tear Down the Walls was until you and Carly performed it at the Institute.
Oh, yeah.
And Carly did this part that I'd never heard in the song. I can't sing, you know that,
Yeah.
but it's where the backing, it goes boop, 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 or
Yeah.
something along those. And Carly did that part, and I
Yeah.
thought, is that in the song? And
Yeah,
I
it
went
is.
back, and there's just so many levels to that. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Like,
That was another Mick Jagger ripoff.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, you don't hear it unless you're listening for
Right.
it. It just kind of blends in with everything, but it's badass.
Yeah.
Was that your idea or Donnie's?
Dude, I wasn't allowed ideas.
Oh, okay.
Your
got you.
ideas suck. Just sing, all right? Sing and make people laugh and get the fuck out of here.
Oh my goodness. So you just started smoking pot recently, but obviously you
Couple
couldn't
years
smoke
ago.
when you was. So why didn't you do gummies through the last, 20 years or so?
I didn't discover gummies until my good friend Darren Cole, who
Yeah.
used to run pro pools, he turned me on to them. And he gave me like these, they look like a matchbox, and they were 5 milligrams. And you pop a little 5 milligram and drink a beer, and it was so
Little
cool.
orange pills, right?
They were white. And I'm not sure where he got them.
He gave me a box too once.
Is
They
that
were
right?
orange pills.
Okay, my orange, white, whatever.
Yeah.
But they worked great, and I enjoyed them. And I did them ever so often. I didn't do them all that often. I was always afraid to do them the night before a show because I didn't know how long the effect would last. But then after I started doing them on the cruises just to have a good time.
Yeah.
And boy, did I have a good time. So and I still didn't smoke. I didn't start smoking until after our last show. And I liked the effect of the gummies, and I thought, well, I'm going to try to smoke because I like that instant effect too.
Yeah.
So now I do a little bit of both. I smoke a couple times a day. I don't smoke that much, about 3 or 4 hits a day, and I'm good.
Well, I was just wondering, it would have been crazy to see Steve high
No,
performing.
you wouldn't want to see that.
As far as the comedy
I
bits
get
and
it.
stuff.
I get what you're saying, but I was just too strict on
Yeah.
my discipline of being totally sober.
Yeah.
And no, because I didn't. My whole thing was give the people exactly what they deserve. Give them their money's worth. Give 110% every fucking time you take that stage. And I think we were all like that, but I was the example because I would look. People would watch me, and then their show would pick up because they would see all the effort that I'm putting into it. So it was like a team effort. So, but that wouldn't have been a good idea, and to put on the shows like I needed to perform.
Right.
So no, getting high wasn't an option.
Very regimented. That's cool.
That's why I lasted 45 years.
Yeah.
That's why people said, "Hey, you're pretty good. You a skinny fuck. You're pretty good."
I stopped by Simple Pleasures on the way here.
Yeah.
And with the new Cheech and Chong movie coming out, Tracy wants to do an edible when we watch it. So I
Alrighty.
stopped
Are you
to
gonna
get
do
it.
one?
No.
Chicken
I'm on the
shit.
wagon.
Chicken shit.
I might have a show to do in a couple days.
I got a lawn to mow.
That's right. I had a lawn to mow. So he gave me the exact same one you took last week. And what'd you do? You thought that was a 20 you were taking?
I thought it was a 20.
And he gave me it's a
It was
100.
100.
He said, here's the one that made Steve bounce.
I was wobbling.
If you want to wobble like Steve wobbled
Yeah,
last week.
go to Simple Pleasures. They got the wobbling magic pill.
They do. You know what? We can show it, I guess. Let me just show people what they're going to get if they go in there.
I don't know why it's got the little candy things on the top.
Yeah, it makes it look like a dessert, doesn't it?
Yeah, kind of like it's got herpes.
So it's a little red chewy with sprinkles on it. It looks good, but apparently it packs a hell of a punch.
You better tell her to do a quarter of that.
He told me to cut it in half.
Yeah, cut it in half.
Yeah.
Because she'll go to the moon. Some people don't come back. Sometimes the spaceship gets lost.
I thought I was there 2 weeks ago.
Oh, God, you took one puff. That doesn't even count.
I don't know what it is, man.
You got to do like 100 milligrams, so get way out there.
Are you?
And then you just survive it. You're not going to die. You just got to remind yourself, it's going to pass. Enjoy it.
No, I'd crawl in that corner and call 911.
It really is a mindset. It is.
I think they need to study me.
But you're talking to a guy who can drink 4 or 5 beers and a couple shots of Jack Daniels and still maintain.
Yeah.
You know? So if I can do that on alcohol, I can certainly do it on edibles. So you're just out of practice. You just need to start drinking like a fish like you did when I first met you.
That's right.
Because you used to buy a lot, and I miss that. Need another beer, Steve? Fuck yeah, I need another beer.
Oh, I'll probably drink again one day, but I think I'm going to hold off on the weed.
All right.
So anyway, Simple Pleasures. If you're local to Hagerstown and you like
Or if
getting
you're
high,
not, it's worth the drive. If you're a half an hour away, it's worth the drive.
Yeah.
It's a great store. It's got great customer service, and the product is great.
yeah.
Can't lose.
It's a very welcome feeling when you walk in there. They're very helpful. Any questions you have, they have the answer to.
Yep.
And anything you're looking for, they have. I saw some drinks in there today.
Yeah, I want to try one of them one time.
Do you?
Yeah.
I wonder what it's equal to. If it's a
Yeah,
can
I don't
is
know. I'd have to
equal
talk to Hunter about it and go, well, what happens if I drink this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't want to get too fucked up. I don't want to wobble anymore.
All right. Next email. This is
Anybody
from,
out there that's listening, has anybody ever got that high where you just feel like you're bouncing? Did you ever get that high, Jamie? That was the weirdest fucking thing. I mean, I couldn't stabilize my knees. They just kept like that. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I better go to bed.
Yeah, put in the comments below something that happened to you when you got way too high.
Way too high.
Yeah. Mine's on video, so
Yeah,
you can
right.
see that. Yeah, let us know what your...
That was equivalent to the time Darren Cole once again gave me these brownies. And it was the whole brownie. I didn't know. I ate the whole damn thing. Hour later, I don't feel anything. Then about an hour and a half later, and I stayed like that for 24 hours. Kelly said, you know, it's trash night. And I went out and I started wheeling the trash can. I'm going, I can't do it. She had to take the trash out. And even when I walked the next day, I had to really be careful of where I was walking. That one scared me a little bit.
Really?
But I knew I was going to come out of it. But it's just like, what the hell did I do to myself? That's self-inflicted, you dumb fuck. However, I made it through it, and after I did that, that's when they don't scare me at all anymore.
Right.
If you can come through that.
So I want to get high enough to bounce, wobble.
There you go. No, you don't want to do
I
that.
want to experience that wobbling.
Well, you should.
All right. Next email, Mike Laporte. You mentioned Kiss not turning on the suck knob on Kicks. Did any bands turn on the suck knob that you remember on Kicks?
Most bands did. I mean, even when we toured with bands like Rat and Whitesnake, they're not going to give you the full production because that's their deal. You know, they're paying for all that. So usually when you're the opener, you get half. You get half the lights. They're not going to give you any automated stuff. They're probably just going to turn them on and leave them on. They're not going to have an engineer back there making you look good. PA, they always cut the volume down. It's standard.
Sure.
You know, it's not like this. These guys are assholes. I mean, and I'm sure we did it to an extent, but we didn't have that much production to cut out. But yeah, that's a pretty standard procedure. So we knew it going in how it was going to be. But you know, you gotta believe in your band, your music, and your performance, and not worry about that dumb shit. Where that's all Donnie worried about, with production and sound, and I was the other end. As long as I can perform and sing, and we put on a good show, that's all I care about.
My band opened up for you guys a few times, and it was the best production we ever played on.
I'm sure.
It was opening for you guys. It sounded incredible.
Yeah, and bands that we liked, we had no restrictions. You
Right.
know, if they were friends and they'd open for us a lot, no restrictions.
Yeah.
But it was a bunch of little clowns that would come in and act like rock stars. Fuck them. Make sure they suck. No, I'm kidding. We never did that.
All right, cool. Rob,
You know,
Ardenson.
before we
go
get
ahead.
into another one, we got talking about Donnie last week and the dumb shit he used to ask us
Yeah.
all to do. And in defense of the dumb shit that he come up with, I'd say 80% of his ideas we used, and they were good, and they were constructive, and they were cheap and corny, but they worked. Like the hot wire. You know, when we did
Yeah.
hot wire? That was his idea. The chariot. That was his idea. I fucking hated the chariot. That was his idea. The genie tree. That was his idea. Most of the stuff that we did, and I don't know if he didn't have the confidence in the music that he wrote, or he just felt he wanted to have the complete show.
Right.
You know, because we were rinky-dink and trying to look like an arena show, and we could pull it off most of the time. But I give Donnie a lot of credit just coming up with this crazy ass shit that was so silly, but it worked. Somehow it worked, and it impressed a lot of people. So I didn't want to give people the wrong impression that everything he came up with was a
Right.
bonehead idea, because it wasn't. You know, most of the stuff he came up with was brilliant.
Well, seeing Kix back in the 80s, I never questioned, is Kix doing something cool? It was, if Kix is doing it, it's cool.
Yeah.
So no matter what you guys did, it was fucking cool.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some other things, but we did a lot of stuff.
Just getting in a circle
Just
is-
having the ramps, you know, hopping up on the ramps and hopping up on the front box, and that was all. It was all Donnie's idea. Like I say, I didn't care about any of that shit. I relied on my performance, and I thought the music was great. And I thought, you know, don't worry about all that little shit, because it gets noticed, but for a second, and then they go right back to watching the band. You know.
Yeah.
How many concerts have you been to where you're more impressed with the production than you are the band?
Kiss.
Well, Pink Floyd comes to mind.
Really?
Pink
Okay.
Floyd is the most boring fucking thing you could ever sit through, but their light show was amazing.
Yeah.
So everybody goes, oh, their light show. But, well, how was the band? I don't know, their light show was great. I don't buy into light shows. I want to see a band that gives a fuck and giving 100%
Right.
the whole time they're out there.
Yeah. That's what Kix was.
Mm-hmm.
That's for damn sure. You just mentioned the chariot, and Pete Barnhart writes in, what are your memories about the chariot?
I fucking hated the chariot.
Did you?
That came, once again, Donnie saw David Lee Roth on a surfboard.
Oh,
Remember
okay.
that?
Yes.
They would take him through the arena on a surfboard. Donnie's got to, well, we got to do that. We got to put Steve out in the audience. And I thought, I don't surf, and I'm not getting on a surfboard. We'll build a chariot, and we'll make people carry you, and we'll dress them up like Romans. That lasted a couple shows, and the people carrying the thing, nah, I ain't dressing up like a Roman. So we would get the bouncers, the security guys, big guys.
Yeah.
And it took 4 guys to carry this thing, and it had flags on it.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, when I was going through the audience, you knew it.
Yeah.
And the spotlights were ballyhooing on me in the audience. But it was, I don't know, I never felt comfortable with the spotlight just on me. Because it wasn't about me, it's about everybody.
Right.
But after seeing David Lee Roth on the surfboard, I had to get in the chariot. And sometimes these clubs were so small, there wasn't even room. So you're just beating people out of the way and knocking people out of the way.
Yeah.
And girls grab my dick and shit. Like, thank you. Thanks, honey. I'll see you after the show. But yeah, I wasn't real fond of the
You're
chariot.
so lucky Kelly's cool.
Oh, I know. Believe me, I braced her before we got married. Honey, you're marrying an idiot. I just want to let you know. And she knew it because she'd been to our shows and she knew what I was like.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's very, very forgiving. Oh, the chariot, when we took a break, well, when we were done, we knew we were done in 95, 96.
Yeah.
And we got back together in a couple years. We decided we were going to do that and see where we were at. We knew it was over at that point. I'd already started a teaching career, and I was supporting my family. That's all I wanted to do. I was making as much money or more than I did in kicks teaching. That goes to show how much money we made in kicks. Not very much.
Yeah.
I lost my point. Oh,
Chariot.
the chariot. When we took all the stuff out of storage, there was a lot of shit that just needed to be thrown away, and I saw that chariot sitting in storage. I grabbed that thing, and I threw it on the truck. I said, throw that motherfucker away. We took great pride in going to the dump and going,
The dump.
yeah,
You know how much money we could have got for that on a kicks
it's
auction?
still at the dump.
Holy shit.
Oh, we had a box of T-shirts, old vintage T-shirts.
Killing
know.
me.
I gave them all away to students.
Oh.
I gave them all away. Because I thought it was over, completely done. The new genre of music has come in and just wiped us off the map, and I'm like, it's over, you know? So I thought all that stuff was worthless.
Yeah. Shit.
knew?
You were wrong.
Yeah, dead.
The grunt and ugh you just heard was from our producer, Jamie. Steve-O's got a Jamie. Joe Rogan's got a Jamie. There's another one that has a Jamie. It's escaping me right now. And Steve and Rick have a Jamie. And the reason he said, ugh, get Steve throwing away or getting rid of those vintage T-shirts was Jamie just opened a new store in downtown Hagerstown.
Right, he was telling us about it.
140 West Washington Street. It's called Hagerstown Vintage. You got to follow him on Facebook. He doesn't have conventional hours. So you got to follow him on Facebook, and he'll let you know what's in his store and when he's going to be open to sell it to you.
Yeah, that's cool.
But he's got a bunch of cool 80s and 90s stuff. We'd probably have a blast going in there looking at all the old 80s stuff.
Probably.
It's probably stuff you threw from the stage.
You have the chariot in there.
So is it Hagerstown Vintage on Facebook, Jamie? Yeah. Hagerstown Vintage. Jamie Lawrence, One Room Media. Check them out. Pretty cool store. So let's go back to, this is from Richie House.
Oh, Richie House.
Yeah, old man House's kid.
Yeah.
So this is for you, of course. I've been in the music industry 40 plus years, and I suffer from hearing loss and tinnitus. Does Steve suffer from either one?
Both.
Both.
Oh, yeah. You can't, even though I wore earplugs, because that was my monitor, just, you know, when you put fingers in your ears, you hear your voice in your head.
Yeah.
I did that for years because relying on those little wooden boxes for hearing yourself, that just never worked, especially when I had stacks of Marshalls on both sides of me and Donnie blowing bass bends on the sides of it, and that little wooden box is like, yeah, that's going to do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I tore my ears up, even though I wore earplugs. But luckily, I'm not terrible. And one of the other things I did, as soon as I retired, I went to an earologist. And I just tell by the look on her face, she went, ugh.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's not good. Said all your high end's gone. And so I got these hearing aids. I think Jimmy's got them too. In fact, I know he does. And they're expensive as hell, but they work great. And they have settings on them, like if I'm watching television and Kelly's out in the kitchen making too much noise, it's got this thing where if I hit this button, it just goes straight on.
Wow.
So it's got AI.
Wow.
So, yeah, they're pretty cool. And they're Bluetooth, so if I'm listening to a podcast or music or anything, it's always there. So it's pretty neat. But and also, the neuropathy is what really stopped me from performing. Tinnitus you can perform with, but you can't perform when you can hardly walk.
Right.
So, yeah, I got tinnitus.
So tinnitus, correct me if I'm wrong, it's just a high,
It's always in your head, always. You go to bed, but these new ear hearing aids, they also have this setting that just gives you white noise. I can go to setting 1
okay.
and I can go to setting 2, and it puts this white noise that cancels out the tinnitus. So
Very
if
cool.
you're a tinnitus sufferer and you got $6,000,
Jesus.
insurance didn't cover them. I didn't know that. So I go through all the shit to get these hearing aids, and they go, well, if you were in Frederick, these be free. Well, fuck, I'm going to Frederick.
See ya.
It's because I'm going through Kelly's insurance, my wife's insurance,
Yeah.
and she's from Washington County, so they wouldn't honor it. So,
Damn.
but I didn't care. I needed them, and I could afford it, so I just got them.
Yeah. There's another. You want to read this next question?
Oh, sure. So, Steve, I know you're in very good shape and you work at it really hard. Have you ever masturbated on a stairwell? No, but I have on not a stairwell. What do you call it? A treadmill. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's boring. I usually walk outside. I like to walk outside, but when it's raining like it was yesterday, and when you're on a treadmill, I mean, you're bored, You can watch John Wick or porn. So I was watching porn.
Oh shit.
None of that's true. I just threw that out there. I told Rick, give me that thing. Let me make up a question. But now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to try it. The hell, honey, look. Look at me. Whee!
That's fucking gold. Oh man.
More questions.
So this is from Rob Ardentrout. How did you guys split up the gear? It seems like it would be like a divorce.
It was.
You kind of touched on it a minute ago.
Yeah, but it was amicable. I mean, the band bought everything, all the sound equipment, everything. So it was a pretty easy divvy. Everybody kind of picked, because I knew I wanted to put a studio in my basement. So I took some ADATs, if you remember what the hell they were.
Yeah.
And a mixer that used to be our monitor mixer. Donnie took the big board. Everybody took what they felt they could use in moving on in their careers. So it wasn't that hard. And same thing with One Kicks when we stopped after the last show. Most of it was in Bob's warehouse, and I think the crew come in and took a bunch of it. I didn't take anything other than what I already owned.
Yeah.
And the band bought like the in-ears and all that stuff. So I sold that. I didn't even think about that when I'm selling all that shit. I didn't even buy that. But I bought the first one. So,
Right.
And then the FCC changed the frequencies. So mine became extinct, and the band had to go out and buy all new.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, that was pretty common because I don't know if it was air traffic control or something, but as more of that stuff came into play, it was starting to affect the air traffic controllers, so they had to change the frequencies.
Wow.
Something to that effect.
Never thought about that.
Yeah, I just made all that up. I don't know.
Well, believe it or not,
Really?
yeah,
That went quick.
they always do. Somebody suggested we take it to 60 minutes.
Yeah.
And they said we would hang on every second of it.
Yeah.
Maybe we bump it up coming up next time,
45?
maybe 10 minutes or so.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we're getting better at this. We're getting more comfortable with it, and
Yep.
you do all the prep. I just sit here and make people laugh
It
because
works.
that's my job.
It's good dynamic.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Nothing else? I'm trying to think.
Unless you got something that happened to you recently that's
No,
noteworthy.
not really. No. Okay.